Hey, what's up? And welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do here on Under the Hood. Hope that you are having a great day. We're going to talk about the college football playoff, the game last night, in which the Indiana Hoosiers win the national championship, defeating the Miami Hurricanes. It's crazy what Indiana's been able to do in one season. We are presented to you by Shopify. Yes, Shopify. Your business starts with Shopify. Try it 3 days free, then $1 a month for 3 months. What are you waiting for? Make sure you check out Shopify. They are a partner with us here at Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We have a link that's in the bio of this podcast, whether you're listening to it or whether you're watching it on YouTube. The link is there. Use my link if you're going to use Shopify for savings. Thank you so much for checking us out here. And don't forget also, Alexander James Whiskey. Yes, the official whiskey of Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Got a chance to talk to Jesse Stewart, who is the founder of Alexander James Whiskey. And so that was announced last week. So if you're looking for whiskey for this winter, and by the way, if you live in the Midwest, if you live in the Northeast, you need to have a little something extra to keep yourself warm during this winter. Try Alexander James Whiskey. They do a great job of being able to supply you with what you need. Alexander James Whiskey. And the link is in the bio for that as well, alexanderjameswhiskey.com, and check out where you can buy Alexander James Whiskey in 49 different states. So it's absolutely wild. We're going to hear from Darius Brockett, our friend from Brockettology, and on YouTube, and of course, College Football Nation. I do want to talk to you about what happened last night with Miami losing to Indiana and Indiana winning the national championship. I know a lot of people have been coming at me in my mentions saying that, hey, you're an SEC guy, you're a Georgia guy. Yes, I'm wearing the Bulldogs sweatshirt. The reason why is because it's cold. I want to have as much something warm in these Chicago streets, that's for sure. But I'm wearing it also because there's been a lot of people coming at me saying that, oh, Hood, it's the end for the SEC, terrible bowl games, and it looks like they're not going to be the top dog, so to speak, when it comes to college football. What I would tell you is that as a college football fan, yes, I love Georgia, sick 'em, rough. I love Georgia, but it's not that I'm anti-Big Ten or anti-ACC or Big 12 or any other conference. I got no problem. I love that there's a variety when it comes to college football. I love the fact that there are 3 different conferences the last 3 years that's been able to win the national championship. It's awesome. In this era of NIL and then in this era of how it's the Wild West when it comes to the portal, man, there's talent everywhere. So it's no surprise that a team from the Big Ten like Indiana comes out of nowhere and wins a national championship. If you have the money, if you've got the coaching, if you have the players that's willing to stay and buy in, you have a shot of winning the national championship. And that was proven with Indiana defeating Miami. So this whole thing where it's like, oh, Hood, it's the end for the Bulldogs. It's the end for the Bulldogs. It's the end for Georgia. Can I just tell you, when it comes to coaching, the line starts with Kirby Smart. It starts with Georgia. And then you work your way with Ryan Day and some of the other top coaches in college football, but it starts at Georgia. And then you keep working your way down the line of coaches that have a chance to win the national championship. It's more wide open than ever before. And I love it as a college football fan. But again, I'm a Georgia guy. I didn't think Georgia win the national championship. I said that at the beginning of the season, even though Georgia won the SEC championship. I just have that feeling when you're a fan and you've been watching the team for decades like I have, you just know it. Just like, good team, but not national championship team. Maybe next year for Georgia. But I think it's good for college football that we have a variety because it keeps a lot of fans invested in their conference, invested in their team. So we're going to hear from Darius Brockett, get his thoughts. Don't forget that we are brought to you by Shopify. Make sure you check out my link right there for Shopify. Hey, if you ever hear this little ding in your home, this little ding, that's because your loved one is shopping on Shopify. Use our link for Shopify as we hear from Darius Brockett right around the corner on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We are presented by Shopify as we talk about the college football playoff and talk about the national championship game taking place in Miami. We turn now to someone who's almost over his Miami Hurricanes losing to Indiana in the biggest stage. It happened to be in Miami. as we turn to Darius Brockett from College Sports Nation on Sirius XM, and also you can follow him on YouTube. The link for his shows is on YouTube. His Brocketology, and Darius joins us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Sir, we appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. You know, I cried. All my tears are
Yeah.
gone now. So now
Mhm.
I can pretend I'm not upset anymore.
I'm just here to help. That's why I reached out. It's an opportunity if you just need to just let it all out. This is what Under the Hood's for here, Darius. I mean, this is your team, Miami at the crib against Indiana for the national championship, and Miami falls short. So please, I'd like to hear before the analysis. I'd like to hear the fan, Darius Brockett, as you watch that game. What's going through your mind?
So I 10-0, this is a winnable game still. There's still a
Yes.
lot of optimism, still a lot of confidence because one thing Miami did that no one else did is hit. They hit Indiana very hard. It was just like, okay, cool. Miss field goal going into halftime. This game is over. I'm a little dejected because this is a kicker who's been good all year, but
Yeah.
now we're in the college football playoffs and you've missed 3 of your last 4 when we need you the most. Then we start scoring touchdowns, and I'm like, oh, Miami, could this happen? Then back shoulder to Charlie Becker, back shoulder to Charlie Becker. Then the cojones of Signetti of just like 4th and 5, call the timeout. Fernando, we're gonna run. I'm like, oh, 10-point game again. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. No, no, Lord, no.
Yeah.
And then we have a chance. No timeouts. Oh my gosh. Then Carson Beck throws an interception. I get upset. Why'd you throw that pass? But then I go, what a hell of a season for Miami. What a hell of a season for a team that in the college football world hasn't been quote unquote relevant since 2003. It's been a decade plus some since you've been good. 20 years almost. Actually, yes, 20 years. And you go spend $4 million on a quarterback who a lot of people did threw away. And honestly, he's turned his whole image around. The world, I think, has looked at Carson Beck and fallen in love with him again. Maybe not as a first round product darling, but as a just a overall good person who's had this story of my elbow was torn to shreds. No one believed in me. I didn't believe in myself. This university believed in me when I couldn't even throw a pass until August or until the summer camp, and we went out here and almost did the impossible. When this game was came out, everyone just fully went in on Indiana blowout. They're going to win by 25. Let's just call it now. And you made it a game. So as
Yeah.
a fan, I have a lot of joy and in watching that season. Now, did it end with the heartbreak? Yeah, but I had so much fun.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm holding up for you right now the world's smallest violin for Carson Beck as a Georgia fan. All of us Georgia fans, that's the world's largest or smallest violin for him. It's actually a good season for Beck. It's actually better than I thought he would be with the Miami Hurricanes because with Georgia, he's fine. But of course, we have standards there. We like to be able to raise the bar at the quarterback position as much as possible. And I just thought that Beck turned his career around. His best quote when asked, how's school going? He goes, "I graduated 2 years ago." He was a professional college football player who was not in class because he already graduated 2 years ago.
This all he had to do was just go out and ball, and it worked out
Yeah,
for him in the best way possible. That's all his job was, and it's fun. I think when you look at his journey and you look at how everything went out, you had to sit behind Stinson Bennett, then you become the guy. Then you have really just one bad year. Let's be honest. If you erase that one year, Carson Beck could go down as a college football legend. But that one bad year when Georgia's offense was at its probably worst that we've seen under Kirby Smart since his
yeah,
since his first year, where you don't have a running game. You have all these receivers that just can't catch a pass that led the nation in drops. So you have to be Superman. He goes to a place where everyone assumed he had to be Superman, but he has so much to fall back on in talent where he's just like, I can enjoy football again. So Carson Beck as a human, I think universally changed his image, especially with the Cavender twins and his cars getting breaking into and all that. There was a lot of narrative about Carson Beck at the beginning of the season, where if you don't know him, and I don't know him personally, everyone on the outside looking in all just thought he was probably a douchebag because when he got hurt in that Georgia game, we saw how the team just clapped their hands for the backup quarterback who would, yeah, we know who he is now and Gunnar Stockton, what he becomes. But in that
Yeah.
moment, we're just like, your leader is gone and you guys are cheering for this new kid.
Yeah.
Like what world are we in? Like I get it, he's your teammate, but like, whoa, you just threw him away so fast. But
That's exactly right.
it all works out, and I think it was a mutual benefit for both parties when you look at the Carson Beck journey. Georgia was well off, Carson Beck ends up well off, and Carson Beck has now put himself in the realm of NFL eyes once again, of possibly being a future starting quarterback in the NFL or just a long-term backup depending on where he goes.
So I want to talk about the Indiana side of it with you because Indiana wins the national championship. As I said in the open, like I have no hate toward the Big Ten or Indiana. I'm glad for Signetti because it's quite the Cinderella story, right? You are nothing. You are the dog crap under the shoes of college football fans for a long time if you're Indiana. You're a basketball school. No one looks at Indiana as a team that matters in college football. And sonically, one season, Signetti comes in, says, Google me. He gets a lot of support from boosters and those that are around the Indiana program, and it helped. But, money is not the end all be all for me, Darius. You have to coach these kids too. You still have to coach them. No matter how much you're paying them, you still have to coach them. You have to have a way of doing things. What I liked about Indiana, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, is that when I watch the Hoosiers, they seemingly do everything right, almost to a semi-pro level. I guess this is what the college football is for some, as far as everything that they do, offensive line, defensive line, the discipline of the football team, where you need to be as far as wide receivers, where you need to be in as far as the secondary. I watched Indiana a lot this year leading into the national championship, and just like, wow, there is coaching that you could see. It's tangible that you could see across the board for these players from the Hoosiers. Signetti and that coaching staff wanted a certain way, and they got it all the way to a national championship.
Yes. I came away with two schools of thought. And thought number one is that Indiana's about to put a lot of on three rivals, any of those stars guys out of work because they
Mhm.
show stars don't matter. Again, when you look at that roster, it's constructed of 2-star, 3-star guys who may not have been what you wanted at your Ohio States, but was wanted at a JMU or was wanted at a Cal if you're Fernando Mendoza. And now you come to Indiana, a program that's known for nothing in football, but now has this magical run of a season. And that's thought number one. Thought number two is, oh, the Big Ten has kind of laid out the formula of how to win national championships, just how the SEC did in basketball this past year. You have a bunch of guys who are transfers or who've been there for 3 or 4 or 5 years in this case, and sometimes 6 with the COVID year. The average age of that team was 23. Miami's average age of that team was 20. I know 3 years shouldn't make that big of a difference, but that is a big gap in terms of experience on a college stage, which means they know how to act right and they know how to be disciplined. They've seen this so many times. That level of experience will not mess up. Same thing with Ohio State last year. What was their whole MO? They had a $20 million roster. Most of it was on retending of seniors. Same
Yeah.
thing with who the when you win these titles, Ohio State did it. You have Penn State, who was supposed to be in that conversation this year. Unfortunately, it fell off, and it just doesn't feel wrong. Michigan was one of those too, like with Harbaugh in his last stand. So the way to win and blueprint was set. Indiana did a great job, and you have a great coach in Kirk Signetti who did it his way, who's very militant with what he wanted. He got guys who may not on paper would have won, which has always been my MO when I look at guys and when I'm looking at talent. I don't care what your 40 was
Right.
because game speed is different than a 40-yard straight line. And he got them to believe. He got them to buy in, which any coach should do. But he got it in a way where, hey, we're not just Indiana. We are a group of guys who believe in one another when a lot of people didn't believe in us. And not only did we believe in ourselves, we made other people forced them to believe in us. And that is a powerful motivator. And it's something that will be said when Kirk Cignetti's coaching career is said and done. He's a powerful motivator. I know people will talk about him as an X's and O's guy. I will talk about that level of motivation because you don't get a lot of coaches in this world of modern coaching, period, no matter what level it is, have this level of brash, level of arrogance, this level of cockiness. And I use those negative adjectives because that's how the majority of the universe took it when he first got there. Now
Yeah.
we see it and we're like, oh, that's confidence, that's bravery, that's courageousness, where that's how it's always should be. When
Yeah.
you believe in yourself that much, and then you get one kid to believe, then you get two kids to believe. Now you have a roster of 150 young men ready to believe. It can be a powerful tool. So those are my two schools of thought. Age is the way to go. And these stars mean nothing, which I've always kind of felt that way. But seeing it on display there, that was the true testament of stars meant nothing.
So, Darius, I'm not asking you about the draft. I'm asking you about the game that we saw last night between Miami and Indiana. Who was the best player on the field?
Best player on the field, who? Ruben Bain. He was
Okay.
the best player on that field. And when you watch the tape, I know it's not going to scream out for people who want to see offense and put up points, but Indiana's biggest concern was the right side of the offensive line. Ruben Bain had a field day. There was a play in that second half where that defense just flipped for Miami, and it started with Ruben Bain. It's a toss play to either Black or Hemby, and he's getting blocked, and the guy and he just uses a left club, just launches the guy, keeps his contained, and then gets a massive tackle for loss. And that shows like this is why he will be in the NFL. This is why he will be a first round draft pick. This is why Miami was where they were during the course of this year. Yeah, they had a good secondary, but that guy right there, him alone, and I know we'll look at Akeem Mesidor and we look at all the other pieces on that defense with Keontae Scott, Jacoby Thomas, but him alone was the reason why Miami had this level of violence on that defensive side of the ball. So to answer that question, Ruben Bain by far best player on that field.
Yeah, that's a different question than who's going to go first in the draft, and that's why I asked the question that way. Because as much as we can talk about Mendoza and the smile and the disposition that he has and his ability to be able to get make clutch plays, Bain, for I would agree, pound for pound, was the best player that I saw on the field for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, quarterbacks will get all the love.
Oh,
But even
sure.
in the second best player on the field was D'Angelo Pons, 5'9" corner, second best player on the field for Indiana. I know everyone's going to look at that Indiana roster, and there's so many guys. Well, this is a team, and I think this game as a whole will be a reflection on 5 years later. We'll look at these guys and go, D'Angelo Pons. I thought he would have been at Ohio State. I
Right.
thought he would have been at Georgia. I thought he would have been at Clemson. One of these schools but he's 5'9", but he's locking up a number one receiver like this. He had a field day. He had a great game where he effectively cut off one half of the field. And we got to see it in real time. And I know Indiana plays a lot of zone, so it's easier to just keep all eyes on the quarterback. But Carson Beck barely looked that way. And it worked out for Indiana in the long run. So best two players just happen to be on the defensive side of the ball. And I was about to say unfortunately, but it's not unfortunate. Defense wins championships, and it showed.
So, from Miami's standpoint, this game was about adding to your legacy. You won national championships. The other team had never won a national championship. Hell, hadn't won a lot of football games, Indiana. But for Miami, it was different because there's a lot of people that were on that sideline that were part of the Miami Hurricanes lineage that was there to be able to root, because you're in Miami, right? You're there in Miami. Ray Lewis, so many others that were there to root on the Hurricanes. So what does that say for the Hurricanes moving forward? Because as you see, Darius, in this era of the NIL and the portal, man, I don't know who's going to be the national champion next year. I don't know who's going to be in the championship game. But for Miami, that was a huge step in the right direction for Miami and Cristobal. So the likelihood of them returning is what?
I can't give you a number right now because we do not know what these rosters will look like in 2026. That is one thing I'm kind of going to make my new agenda going forward is I can't tell anybody because so many people are moving. And given where the ACC is at and what could be happening within the quarterback room of Miami with the suspected rumors of Darian Mensah, we could say Miami will be right there again. We don't know. We're not necessarily positive. We're not sure. Uh, but I do think Miami is back. I'm willing to make that declarative statement of the U is back. And not as they're back as they're going to be the national championship year in, year out contenders, but they are going to be somewhere at that top, in the forefront of your minds now, because the way Mario Cristobal has built this roster out throughout his time, 5-6, I mean 7-6 his first year, no, 5-7 his first year. I missed the bowl game, then go 7-6. Then
Yeah.
you're slowly building year in and year out, and then you finally have this roster the way you want it. And Dan Radakovich, the Miami athletic director, you can see this is how the modern era college football is going to be done, and this is how it's going to be played. And I know uh we give credit to LSU's head coach. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Lane Kiffin.
Lane
We
Kiffin.
give him credit on being a portal king. We give credit on Deion Sanders having all these kids come into the portal. But Miami should be looked at as the true portal king. Like even Mike Norvell, Florida State, having this
Okay.
revolving door of all this. But look at the roster and the roster management and the assembly that he's done. He has high schoolers in Francis Mariano, who's going to probably be the first right tackle off the board. He has Malachi Tony, who was a 3-star that no one looked at, where when it's all said and done, and it's his turn to be eligible, he'll be a top 25 draft pick in the next couple of years, maybe. You have Mark Fletcher, who's going to return, where his odds probably went up to being a third round to a second round running back. And those are just guys I named that you groomed through the high school developments. Then you go into the transfer portal class. That defense alone is secondary. You get Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin. You get Jacoby Thomas. You get Keontae Scott. So you found a way to get the right guys. You get Carson Beck. Hell, you spent money on the number 1 overall pick this past draft in Cam Ward. So you know where your talent is. And he's done a good mix of balancing development and winning now. And it's worked out.
So, as we are presented by Shopify, the link is in the bio, by the way. Use Shopify, use our link. When you hear that ding, you know that it's Shopify. So it's a deeper conversation I want to have with you. So when I ask you, the likelihood of Miami returning, you say you don't know and that's the answer because you don't know what the rosters look like. And so here's where the love of college football wanes for me, only in this regard, Darius. And that is that the thing that really hooked us to college football is to know that 4 stars and 5 stars would want to be able to flock to a team that was on the precipice of winning the national championship or winning it, or at least in the mix, right? If I go to this coach, it increases my chances to be in the pros. If I go to this program, man, they just won the Natty. Well, I'm a freshman. Man, they won the Natty or they're on their way to the Natty. Like, man, I want to play for that coach, right? There has been so many high school athletes that have looked at the TV and said, man, the pageantry of that confetti falling down, I can't see myself in Bloomington, Indiana, but I like that coach and the parents of that coach. That's the shame of it all with college football, because the conversation we would have had 5 years ago, you and I would have been saying, yeah, Miami will be right back in there again. Yeah, they'll be right back in there again because they were on the doorstep of winning the national championship. They were that close. So now you can see Cristobal, great leader of men, will take care of my kid, and you have an opportunity to go to the national championship again. And because it's the Wild West, because of the portal, we don't know who's next, who's going to be the fourth of 4 as far as the national championship is concerned. And that's the shame of it. Like, I don't mind parity, but it's so far-fetched to think, oh yeah, for sure, Miami and Indiana is going to be back there again. That's a tough one for me.
But is it shameful though? If we are in the new era, this wild, wild west, the unlawfulness of just player movement, I think that's what makes it even a lot more fun. Because on any given Sunday, we could have seen Ole Miss play Indiana. We could have seen Oregon play Ole Miss. We could have seen Oregon play Miami. That shows how good college football is getting across the board, where talent is evolving, talent is more dispersed. A lot of guys will want to play for a coach, not just for a team in pageantry, but they also have these values, which is still the same rules that has applied in traditional football. It is still the same thing of your Vince Youngs, your Reggie Bush. It is the same exact thing. The only difference that's added is that, hey, if my coach leaves or if I'm not getting what I think I'm worth in terms of compensation or playing time, I can go leave and go to another great organization. Caleb Downs is a perfect example of that. He left Nick Saban's Alabama when Nick Saban retired.
Yeah.
And then he goes wins a national championship to go play for another great coach in Ryan Day. You have kids that do that all the time. And it's not like transferring is new or anything.
Right.
Transfer's never been new. It's just now it doesn't come with an immediate red shirt. It doesn't come with it's an under the radar transfer, and now he had to sit a year, or he had to go transfer from a power four school all the way to a JUCO and then come back just so the rules don't affect them. I think this is the best way we can be in college football, because any given Sunday has been the topic of NFL, and it's now trickled its way down to any given Saturday. It doesn't mean that these perennial programs, these high power programs, won't still be these high power programs. You'll still want to go to Ohio State. You'll still want to go to a Georgia. Hell, you'll still want to go to a Clemson or Alabama, even if they do not have all the NIL conversation, because of how dominant it was when those kids were growing up. But now it shows, hey, if this school isn't that great, if this isn't the best fit for me, I think now kids are going to take advantage of fit more than pageantry. They're going to look at what works for me now rather than, oh, I just thought it would have been cool to play here.
Yeah, you mispronounced the highest dollar. Unfortunately, it's not about the alma mater. I'm trying to tap into you, the Miami fan that wants to get back in there, because I'm just saying that no matter the money, you wish that there would be 5 stars and be like, yep, that team's good. Miami's cool. They got Michael Irvin. They look like that's where I want to play. Unfortunately, because it's about the highest dollar more so than the alma mater or the college football team or the program, you may not get your team back there again. That's my overarching point, that you want to have the best. No, you're not gonna have that again. Again, you got boosters that's going to put more money in the program. Remember, we talked about this weeks ago, that when you're a booster, when you're giving money, Darius, you don't get the ROI unless you're Indiana winning the national championship. Where's the ROI if you're giving millions of dollars to a program and you're not getting the national championship? That's a tough one.
Miami just got their ROI. Miami now has their ROI when they took football serious, and this year was the ROI. We put money into this. We saw the buildup. We could have fired. They could have fired Mario after year 3. Then they go see Manny Diaz at Duke win an ACC championship. And you heard how I felt about that at one point, where I was like, the playoffs is the only thing that saved Mario Cristobal from my fan thought process. That is your ROI. Georgia gets a ROI by being in the SEC championship year in and year out. And even they don't even lose that many transfers. Matter of fact, they gain transfers. So, yeah, it could come down to the highest dollar. But there's also something that you should say about just wanting to play for the right guy and wanting to be in the right fit. Zachariah Branch had a great year as a Georgia receiver versus when he had his sophomore year at USC. There's just a difference in Kirby Smart and Lincoln Riley. Doesn't mean one coach is worse than the other. It's just, no, there's a different standard. This comes with X, that comes with Y. There's a difference of, I'm going to play for Dabo Sweeney and Clemson because he knows he wants his kids to graduate. His whole thing is about maturing. Now, we'll see how Clemson looks now when they see that you got to have some money into this thing. There's a different look of playing for Alabama when it was Nick Saban versus when it's not. And Vanderbilt is going to enter that conversation soon. There's a different level of when you go to Vanderbilt because of what Clark Lee is building versus going to a Florida team of John Summerall, and we just don't know yet. We know what he's going to bring. We know what he's going to have, but we don't know the full thing. So the dollar does matter. I'm not going to act like the dollar doesn't, but there's something said about just it's all the same. Only difference is, yes, a little bit of numerical value can sweeten the pot.
It's a very rare, by the way, very rare that we hear something complimentary toward Lincoln Riley, who likes to run and hide. My USC fans watching this are going to be blowing their hair back. Like, what did he just say? Lincoln Riley tries to avoid certain teams on the schedule. I guess USC, Notre Dame, not important to Lincoln Riley.
Indiana did the same thing this year. Think about who they dropped a ACC battle this past year on their schedule, and then they got rid of another one. I think it was supposed to be against Virginia. I believe it was Virginia. where Indiana had a non-conference game. And I know, hold on, I get your face. You're only making that facial expression now because we know how this outcome is.
Yeah.
When Indiana was first put together for year 2, we all said, who's going to be this year's Indiana? Who's going to be last year's Indiana? Another out the field team that has no hope. And then they just magically. So again, scheduling does matter. And I'm with you with Lincoln Riley. Go schedule these games. You shouldn't drop the Notre Dame. It's a good rivalry. But I plead the fifth on that one. I'm just saying, coaches drop these all the time. Programs drop these all the time.
Signetti will take Signetti will take that game against Virginia now. He'll take it now.
Well, of course he'll take it now when you know what you got.
He'll take
now you're gonna have. Hell, Virginia Tech just dropped the game against James Madison and just said we're going to pay you the $8K.
Would you play James Madison? I wouldn't.
Hell yeah.
No, I can't. I'm scared to death.
Nah, I like competition. Me, I want my competitive energy is still way too high. I want to play anybody and everybody.
That'd be a good week 1 matchup.
And that's all I need.
That's a good late August. Just to get your beak wet for college football, I'll take that. I'll watch James Madison in that because I don't know which way that game would swing, quite frankly.
Exactly. We never know until we play it on the field.
Yeah. Actually, I'll take that game. That'd be a nice little primer for me right into Labor Day. I mean, that's all good.
Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we get to September, we now see the conference games. And then if we're the committee, we'll go to the data point and we'll go, wait, James Madison was a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
I think that should mean something for Virginia Tech.
It's all fascinating to me because, as I mentioned, people think the SEC is dead. Well, it definitely was dead in the bowl games. It was horrible. It was pretty bad. There's no question. But I want you to tell me, based on just the ebb and flow of college football, do you see another Big Ten team with the opportunity? Because with Georgia, as I said in the open, I never thought that Georgia would win the national championship. You just kind of know when you're a fan. You just kind of watch it like, it's a good team, but it's not upper echelon. Even in a college football playoff system, I just thought it's good, but it's not top tier to that level. I'm just wondering your gut on what we could be seeing here for 2026.
I think it comes down to 3 teams in the Big Ten, possibly 4 if it's done a certain way. We're looking at USC with Lincoln Riley in that number 1 freshman incoming class. I don't think they'll be the front runner to win the Big Ten, but they'll be number 4 on that list. Give me Oregon at number 3. Then you have to go Indiana at number 2, Ohio State number 1. And I know you're crazy. You're thinking like, how do you have Indiana at number 2? They just won a national championship. Again, what will your roster look like the following year? Ohio State, there's 2 constants that we know right now. Julian Sands, Jeremiah Smith. That is a duo that has so far been untouched in the college football playoffs and during the college football season this year. And the fact that they will have another year to run it back, that chemistry should be a lot better. It should be a lot stronger. That offensive line should be a lot more mature and a lot more ready to go. Indiana, again, you have all these 23-year-olds who are going to go off to the next level. And again, it's no hate to Indiana. It is, we don't know. Oregon, Dante Moore has announced he's returning. And you have Dylan Raiola, who's going to be your backup quarterback, just in case if something gets hairy and he gets to nurse his injury. And then you have DeCorian Moore. That's year 2 with Dante Moore and DeCorian Moore. And how is that going to look? It's just a lot of uncertainty. And the thing about the Big Ten, here's the thing. With the Big Ten, it's very top-loaded. It's a very top-loaded conference. I know the SEC is a deeper conference, but it's just a good conference.
Yeah.
The Big Ten, with that top load, is so good. It's so dominant. You don't really acknowledge the rest of the Big Ten once you get past Iowa. So I'll put Iowa at 5 if you want to throw that in there with Kirk Ferentz. So once you get past Iowa, you're just looking around like, okay, then you got Illinois as your middle blocker, and then there's everyone else. You're not really thinking that far along. The SEC, as deep as it is boom, boom. You have 8 teams. It's the toughest league. Well, if you're the toughest league, then how tough really are you? Then when you got to play everybody else, because it seems like all you guys are just a whole bunch of good, not a bunch of great.
Yeah, it's a leveling up though, as far as talent across the country in that regard. A lot of people just want to migrate to the South, and then the old adage was, all of the speed guys, whether it's a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, all go to the South. If you need a good, healthy lineman, offensive, defensive lineman, go to
Go
the
up
Big
north.
Ten. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
go up north, right? And so, but now when you have that kind of speed at the quarterback position, running back, wide receiver, and you see this in cold weather cities, and you see this out west, and you see that everywhere else, it's like, well, now the talent's spread all over the place. It's not just in the South. And so now it's time for the SEC or some SEC teams to level up. I do want to ask you about Mendoza. This era is Tim Tebow. He loves that camera, man, and he is a bright kid, and you just love the smile and the enthusiasm, just like Tebow did when he played in college. I just want to know what do you think of him on the next level? Is there anything that you see from him that translates to the next level from his game?
I think I want to see more from him. One thing about him, he's very accurate. That if you're going to be an NFL quarterback, you have to be accurate. And we got to see that numerous occasions throughout the season. He's very accurate. He's very commanding of his offense. Those are two bright traits that the NFL would love. And I see why he's a first round pick. I have him as my first round pick. Do I have him as my number one pick overall? No, I do not. But I do have him as a first round pick. He's my QB1. The things that I desire more from Fernando is more of the deep ball. And it's not that he's inaccurate with the deep ball. It's just we didn't get to see it a lot. They didn't need to. Indiana was a run-heavy offense. That's what they were built on. They were built on running the ball, having a curl route, having a hitch route, having these quick 8-yard throws that can possibly go to different distance, giving your two talented receivers. So there's a more that I demand from Fernando in terms of just that. But outside of that, I think he's a projected QB1 when by whatever team drafts him. I think he's going to see the field early. There's a lot that he's going to learn on the fly. We've seen the toughness of this kid. He got smacked around against Miami.
He did.
And that level of violence was the first time he's ever seen that since he saw it last year against Miami. He got like Indiana just steamrolled so many people. He wasn't hit that often. And we got to see this level of toughness from him and how he just battled back and he got stronger and stronger. And his command of the offense was impeccable. The RPOs that he could have done, that he checked and that he had these RPO glance alert, these RPO alert checks, and he's just getting the ball out. He's very decisive. You'll love that at the next level when you have these corners and these safeties and everyone that can run a 4-3 versus a 4-4 or 4-5. It works out benefit. It's going to work amazing for him. He has great arm strength. He has great arm talent. But again, the only thing that I would love to see more from him is the deep balls, just because we didn't get to see it a lot this year.
Darius, lastly, and I appreciate your time. Could you tell me some of the highlights that you really liked about this college football season? We just went through the college football playoff. That was a home run for me. I think it's, especially the last game, the national championship game was fantastic. But just when you look at the season in totality, what stands out most about what you liked?
Honestly, it's hard not to go with Trinidad Chambliss. This kid comes out the woodwork. No one knows who he is. He's supposed to be a backup quarterback to a 19-year-old Austin Simmons. And he almost wins the Heisman. I think that's the most fun part of the season. There's a lot that I can pull out of a hat here. You go the Penn State collapse. You can go look at Ohio State just dominating their way through the regular season with a defensive coordinator that was an NFL level coordinator who's won Super Bowls, by the way, and how that defense was just by far the most untouchable defense. The SEC having the who's who of the conference of, is Ole Miss the best team? Alabama might be the best team after their 4-game stretch against conference opponents. Georgia was like, everyone was scared about Georgia until Georgia's defense became Georgia's defense, even with the inexperience. Like Diego Pavia in his moment. I'm with you. I think this was a 10 out of 10 season.
Yeah.
We got the college football expansion conversation to probably most likely die off for another year, which I'm 1,000% happy about. This has been a great season.
UCLA in the downward turn, and then they pull the nose up a little bit with young Neuheisel, who by the way is at Northwestern now as quarterbacks coach. Like, I got to talk to him, and I got to talk to who else is on this staff?
Chip
Kelly as the OC. Yeah, that's. I have a call out to Northwestern. I need to talk to both of those guys. Like Neuheisel, they're both going to be in Chicago in Evanston, so I'm going to look forward to talking to them. I look forward to seeing what Northwestern does with those two. That's going to be interesting.
and all the even like I know I talked about Ole Miss Trinidad Chambliss, but like
Yeah.
the amount of coaches that got fired in the middle of the season and Lane Kiffin, the will he won't they, like I know at some point like that won't become a talking point until week 3 of the college football season when he has to go to Oxford and has to play Ole Miss again. But like that was a whole debacle, and how we just all looked at this that 4-week stretch of just like, is he not, what's best for him, what should he do, what should he not do, and how that dominated the college football world. While there were so many, and there were still games going. It's not like it was, oh, we're on the back end of the season. This was November heading into December level of just like Lane Kiffin watch. Marcel Reed taking a step forward for Texas A&M. This was a massive year for college football as a whole. And if you were a fan of college football and you got to see Texas Tech, like Cody Campbell had money to spend, and that's a ROI. Like that's a return on investment. You win the Big 12. Like there's so much that I wish I can just like rewatch all over again and just have the drama that go through it. Notre Dame not getting in and then skipping a bowl game, and
Oh
then
my
on
God.
Twitter they tweeted they're going bowling by having a charity bowling event, which cool. I like charity, but shut up. Go play the Pop Tarts Bowl. BYU having a quarterback wear the jersey number 47 in Brockmeyer. This was a fun year.
Yeah. You mentioned those coaches. That's a big headline right there. Like Mike Gundy can't handle the heat anymore. Brian Kelly out. Just the firing of coaches early in the season, by the way, early
Napier
to midseason.
fired.
Napier fired. Mike Gundy, by the way, and every year I have a couple of screens that I watch for the national championship game. I watch the main feed, but I also like to watch the college coaches film. That's on ESPNU, where you get like these coaches that didn't go to a bowl game, fired, and they're just sit around and they're watching the game and they're just talking. It was the Mike Gundy show. Mike Gundy couldn't stop talking, so I had to turn it off. Like Mike has been bottled up so much with that suspiciously dark hair and that gray beard. He's there and he's talking about the national championship, and like he's breaking it down. And like there's other coaches that's in there. They're like, "Can I get a word?" Couldn't even get a word in because Mike is just breaking it down. I'm like, "There's a guy here that quit the system, couldn't handle it." Oklahoma State, that's something. Those are big storylines of these tenured coaches that were out.
They were gone. Two G5 schools get into the college football playoffs, and that created a whole hysteria of which most likely will change the rules this summer of like the criteria of what's going to happen. But again, Gundy's gone, Kelly's gone, Napier gets fired after he beats Texas, then loses one game, then gets fired during like the bye week. Like the SEC's turnover of coaches alone was like a crazy thing to see. Like what more could you want from this season here?
Well, I won, and Deion and his team sucked. Don't forget about Colorado. That was bad.
Colorado. But even then,
yeah,
people put butts in seats for Colorado.
Yeah.
And Julian Lewis is going to be the starter of Colorado. And I don't have the highest of hopes for Colorado, but I have high hopes. I think they can go bowling again in Colorado.
Yeah, life comes at you fast when you don't have Travis Hunter and Shador. That was a tough spot. And Deion wasn't healthy, but still coached. That's also a story. Like he has not been 100% and still coached anyway.
We thought he was going to step away. Like there was a lot of rumors that Coach Prime was going to step down, given his health. A bunch of freshman quarterbacks we got to see. Like I mentioned Juju Lewis, but Bryce Underwood, he was fantastic. Yeah. We got to see a lot of new, what will be the future faces of college football going into next year. Arch Manning made his anticipated debut. Like there was a lot in this season that I don't think we will grasp until we have this remember me, I wish I can turn back time moment in like 5 to 10 years when half these guys are in the NFL. We're just gonna be like, man, I remember Jeremiah Love almost won the Heisman. I remember when Diego Pavia did not care at all about the world and just wanted to throw touchdowns.
Right. That's right. Tell everybody about Brocketology, because we know, Darius, that yes, the college football season's over and it's a little sad because we love it and we love all of the storylines, but there's a lot more that you'll be doing, correct?
Yes. So this is my quiet time. And when I say quiet time, it doesn't mean I'm not working. I have a boatload of tape I have to watch. There's a bunch of guys that I'm going to be looking at because now we are in draft season, ladies and gentlemen. And this is by far my favorite part of the season because one thing I am very confident in is evaluating talent. And I may not always say everyone's a first round grade, but I do love the talent that I have watched. We are going to be looking at my top 5 prospects from positional basis. I'm going to have a top 32 board that comes out. I don't know how soon. It's January as of now. So probably around late February, mid-March, we'll start. I have those. This is why it's my quiet time. It's a lot to look at. Eventually, I'm going to start transitioning more back into NFL stuff when they get into their off season. And that'll also be my quiet time with the new coaches that's been hired. So you guys, I know college is my love. College football is where I reside. But sometimes you got to look forward to the NFL just a smidge. So that's what I'll be doing on Brocketology. So you guys, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be quiet on the home front for just a little bit. But just know I'm going to start delivering a lot more. I'm still covering Maryland's basketball, men's and women's. That's been kind of fun on one end of the spectrum. A lot disheartening on the second end.
Yes.
But fun nonetheless. So I'm doing a lot. You guys can follow me at Brockett Media across all social platforms. If you're ever confused, last name Brockett. I always tell people Rocket, just throw a B in front of it and an extra T on the end. Media. That's how I always get people to remember. Think of a rocket because I'm going off, baby. And you can catch me on YouTube at Brocketology.
Did you just say that you're going off? Is that what you just told the people? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I'm going off. It's about to be a whirlwind of a storm coming.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll be protected. Actually, I'll be in the storm with you. How about that?
I love it. Hey, we got to be in the storm together. You know, you have been this has been the most fun I've ever had whenever you ask me to come on. So you are also in the storm with me. You haven't left. You haven't wavered.
No.
Even when we're behind the scenes, you hear me talk about the Chicago Bears, and I'm not even a Bears fan, and how much I've loved the Bears season. So come on. It's all right. Jaquan Brisker, come be a Washington Commander, though, because most likely you're not going to go back to Chicago.
Look at that, man. Already got your hand out looking for people to help the Commanders. Look at that. Look at you.
You got to start somewhere. You know, you said it's. Did we not just talk about the dollars in college football?
Yes.
What about the dollars in NFL? This is my recruiting pitch right here.
Oh my God. Well, we're going to end this now before you start taking all of our key coaches and players. Folks, we are brought to you by Shopify. Make sure that you use the link that's in my bio for Shopify. And it's one of the proud sponsors and partners here at Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And of course, Alexander James Whiskey. New to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. The official whiskey of Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood is Alexander James Whiskey. Go to alexanderjameswhiskey.com for more information. All that information is in your bio. So I'll be calling you soon. The Senior Bowl is right around the corner. And there's, of course, the draft. So I'll be calling you again because I can't let go. Love this college football season. We just gave a column to someone about the best stories of college football at the end of this podcast. So I can't wait to talk to you again for more information about those that are leaving and those that are coming to another football team through the portal. So it's going to be interesting to talk about.
Thank you. This has been fun. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Darius Brockett with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you check us out for all that we have, including the merchandise. It's cold in the Northeast and in the Midwest, so make sure you get your beanies and you get your mugs and get your t-shirts for the ladies, and make sure if nothing else, check out the hoodies. It is cold, so make sure that you get your hoodies and your t-shirts for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. All the information is in the bio. For Brocketology, it's Jay Hood on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.